Hey, everybody.
And tonight we are doing Cassandro on Amazon Prime now. Is this new 2023 film? Baba K, I believe I put this on the list, and you actually said, "Ooh, I had heard something about that." I'm like, nice. Usually no one does. So did you know anything about this going in?
Yeah, I was getting ready to watch it because it looked interesting. It came up on my "you might like this" kind of situation, and it was intriguing to me. So I was going to watch it whether we were going to talk about it or not.
Well, that is good because I was in the time period. I was like, we need a bunch of stuff, and I was like, this made the cut of under 2 hours, high critical scores of like this will be nice, easy to slide on through, and it should pass through with flying colors. So this is what Cassandra is about. Saul Armendariz is a homosexual amateur wrestler from El Paso, Texas, rising to international stardom when he creates the character Cassandro, the Liberace of Lucha Libre. He upends not just the macho wrestling world, but also his own life. This has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes with the critics, 77% with the audience, 6.4 on IMDb. And any other important notes in it? It stars Gael Garcia Bernal, who Nicole, he was in one of our favorite movies, Old. He was the father,
not Old,
I guess, is like the main father.
I didn't even recognize him as that.
Yeah, well, everyone in that movie, I've forgotten that was part of their career. I kind of like just carved it all out, and like that's its own thing. He was like the voice in Coco of the uncle. Or the father. I don't know. I don't want to spoil. He's in Coco. Anyway.
Don't spoil Coco.
Well, yeah, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen Coco, you should.
Not Coco. Excellent.
Cassandro, if you haven't seen it, we're going to spoil it here and now. It's on Amazon Prime. I gave you all the stuff, so yes, that's your warning. It's the early 1980s, and this gay wrestler Saul is living in El Paso, and he crosses the border regularly to participate in Lucha Libre wrestling, and he wrestles as El Topo. And he's, a smaller guy, so he's mostly just like a jobber who gets squashed. Like he goes out there and he wrestles this big guy, Gigantico, is that his name? Or
you're gonna use wrestling lingo that we're gonna have to get caught up on, huh?
Okay. He's
something.
Yeah,
that gets squashed.
He's a jobber that gets squashed. Okay, he's a
jobber that gets squashed.
He's a jobber that gets squashed. For those who have not heard a lot of wrestling in their day, a jobber is someone who is low on the card, which is the Lord. The card is okay. He is a person who is not high up on the totem pole and loses matches frequently because they are planned because of his small stature, He's a gay man. He wants to reinvent himself one day, and he gets the idea from like a Telemundo thing he's watching.
Cassandra.
This character, Cassandra. He's going to be Cassandro, who is this like Gorgeous George-esque flamboyant character. Again, doing wrestling deep pulls here, but he's a what do they call them? An exotico lucha wrestler, and they are typically also do not win matches. They typically go out there and are kind of the butt of jokes and get defeated. But he has such a good charisma that he starts to win crowds over, and when he wins crowds over, he actually is able to win because I guess. In this, again, it's planned, but, if you become popular, the people are like, oh, we got to have the popular people win. So he becomes popular, he starts winning, and this is about his climb towards the top, his relationship with his mother, his lover, his trainer, his estranged father, all kinds of stuff. And it's he's got some struggles on the way, but it's his climb towards wrestling. What's the big guy on top? De Santo. This he's like a real wrestler, I guess. So and played as himself. So very exciting. Cassandro,
that's crazy.
Mama K, what you think?
Cassandro. I think one of the reasons I wanted to watch this is because I saw that it was starring Gael Garcia Bernal, and I love him. He's in one of my favorite Spanish-speaking movies of all time, Y Tu Mama Tambien. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you have not watched that is critical. You should watch that. But he hasn't, he does things like Old. You know, he never
Aw.
crossed over. I know, it's sad. I think he's probably, and I mean, Coco, that's great and all, but does anybody really,
He probably doesn't get
No.
recognized in the street as the guy from Coco.
A voice
And
actor
I love
of
that
Coco.
movie, and I had to look that up, and I've seen him in many movies.
Yeah, so this is kind of fun. You guys watched wrestling when you were younger, and even probably now. And I know, yes, now, because you guys just went to some wrestling thing like within the
Raw
last
30th
few months.
anniversary, baby. We were there.
Exactly that.
Sister
And
Abigail.
Not Mexican wrestling, no.
No, not Mexico.
No.
Although the Mysterios were there, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Right, and they wear masks, right?
Well, not
They
the
do.
son. Dominic
The
doesn't.
dad does.
Ray does, yeah.
Oh, okay. And Nacho Libre was big when you guys were growing up. There was a lot of yelling in the house of just Nacho, and for no reason whatsoever. So this was intriguing to me. And I didn't realize, I watched the movie, didn't realize that it was based on a true story. So this was a real person who went through these things. And, I'm sure, you have to fictionalize it so that that it's a palpable less than 2 hour show. But
I mentioned that up top, right? I don't remember if I did, but yes, this is a real person. This is a biopic. This is not like a fictional
Yes.
story. I don't know if I said that, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it was interesting to see that this was part. I didn't know that this was part of like early Mexican wrestling, having the Exoticos, and how this character, how Cassandro, was almost like immune to. He would go out there and people would yell terrible things at him, and some of the things, the words I would recognize and the words they would show on the screen were not the same words, but they were all equally bad. And I was just like, this is really interesting that, a lot of Exoticos apparently weren't gay, but to be gay and to be out there as this Exotico, flamboyant person and just be completely yelled at, all these things, that was really hard for me to actually watch. So I had to get past that to get through this movie. I stopped watching it and had to pick it up again, honestly, because of that. So,
Wow.
things seemed to work out well. So I was glad for that. But, yeah, I liked this movie. I liked seeing Gael Garcia Bernal again, doing something that I really liked and not just being a voice or something in a movie I didn't see called Old. Yeah.
Nicole, following that up?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have to answer something real quick. I'm really sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you had a thing
That's
come
all
up.
right. All right. Okay. I was enjoying the beginning of this movie. I didn't know that this was based on a real person. I didn't hear anything about this. I've kind of been disconnected with things that are out right now in the movie world, so I haven't heard about this. But I was enjoying it in the beginning. I think we were confused on where this was set too. I didn't realize this was in the U.S. for a little bit.
too.
Yeah,
I was
we
very
both
confused about that.
Okay, good. Sounds like we weren't the only ones. We were like, I was like, I think this is U.S. And you're like, this is.
Well, yeah, because it came into
They kept
question
saying-
for me.
Yeah, they kept saying El Paso, and I was like, is there an El Paso, Mexico that I don't know about?
Right, and there probably is, but I was brought into question for me, like when they were at the coffee shop and everything was written in English, and I'm like, that's really weird. Like that's a bad mistake to make if you're making the movie about Mexico, right? And then I'm like, oh well, everyone's
Wait a
also
minute.
speaking English, so it has to be.
They left the diner. I looked at the cars. I'm like, wait a minute. I think they are in the U.S. because I wasn't even thinking about it. I'm like, I guess they're in the Mexico. No, are they in the U.S.? Something? I was like, I
Then
was
they had
really
a Texas
yeah.
plate. Finally, there was a Texas license plate, and we were like, okay,
Yeah.
this is in Texas. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, besides that confusion, I was enjoying the beginning of this, seeing this guy's hardships that he's dealt with his family, and his mother who is just, I guess, trying her best, but still on edge about his lifestyle. Seeing her sadness about not having the full family anymore because of how his father feels, that was upsetting to see, but they were making the best of it and all that. So I enjoyed that. I didn't mind the training scenes where he finds his new friend who is helping him train. But there became a point where I was about to turn to Brennan and say, can we take a break from this? I
funny.
Felt the same exact way. I'm like, we need to take a minute because it's getting so long and overdone with the same stuff in really long scenes. So I was kind of trailing off a little bit at the 3/4 mark. I, again, not knowing that this is based on a true story, thought that there was going to be something more sinister happen throughout this.
Yeah, you did. I forgot.
Me too. I did too.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to hear that and to see that did not happen.
Right.
Nope.
But a lot of allusion to that, so I was like, wow, this is going to get dark in a minute. And I felt that way for a good 40 minutes or so, from the time that we meet the promoter on. I'm like, what is going to happen here? So, that didn't happen, thankfully. So that was good. But yeah, interesting person to create a film about. So that was something that I don't think ever crossed my mind. And yeah, I mean, all in all, I did enjoy it, but yeah, there was this one part in time that just happened. I'm like, oh my God, I'm done with this right now. Like, how many times can we do the same thing in a movie? But hey, that's what it was, right?
Well, maybe
matches.
That's part. Yeah, and that might be part of the reason why I got agitated with it too, is that I did have a really big sense of foreboding, and it just sort of kept amping up, because you're right, you kept seeing the same kind of things over and over. He'd go to a match, people would yell at him, it would be awful, and then he would the more grand he became, the seedier the people were that he was dealing with, and I just thought, this is going to end badly for this dude. And I think I just got a little overwhelmed with that and was like, I need a break.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought I'm a little lukewarm on this. I didn't love this as much as I thought I was going to. It was kind of dull. After I didn't know about this guy in real life, I figured he was real just based on the way it was setting up. This isn't how you would tell a totally fictional person, I wouldn't think. And then I was reading about him afterwards, and more I read about him after, I'm like, this guy sounds kind of interesting. I want to watch some of his matches. And I'm like, I felt that way after reading on my own about him, but I did not feel that way, because of the movie making me feel that way, I guess. The movie, right. There's something about the portrayal of his rise and the events in the order and the timing and everything, and just the flow of just the movie flow, that it just felt like the obstacles were so soft. I felt like it should, despite the slurs being yelled and the father not being there and the I mean, we're in spoilers, the mother figure, the literal mother dying. I at no point was I feeling a sharp, hardshipy pain feeling.
They really brushed over that scenario.
It always just felt like he was constantly rising no matter what. At no point did I feel like he actually stumbled. It felt like he just pushed through with almost again, not effortlessly, but it felt like that with the movie. The movie didn't make me feel like the struggles were weighing him down. It felt like it was inevitable that he was going to always go up. And maybe it was the selling in the matches, in the matches where at the beginning he goes out and they're booing him, and then by the end of the match they're Cassandro, and I'm just, that's really tough to kind of buy. And I don't know how it happened. I don't know. I wasn't in the room with these 50 people in the small little dinky wrestling promotion, and then you do a couple of those every couple of Saturdays and Thursdays and whatever, and you build a following. I know it happens over time. It's not one day everyone's booing him and calling him slurs, and the next day everyone's Cassandro. It's not one match, but that's how it's shown in the movie, and so it feels false and flat. And like, what is it, 3 matches, and he's wrestling the champion, and then in the middle of the championship match, he does something crazy, and everyone's like, actually loves him for it. And I'm sure in real life that's probably some way that's true, and that's how it happened. But the way the movie told me it did not sell me on that being like plausible, and like, I don't know. It felt a little fake TV movie glossy to me, unfortunately. Like, the character interesting, but I don't know about the execution here.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that because I think a lot of times I kept waiting for that moment to happen where something where he was going to have like an insurmountable obstacle thrown in his way. And it really never happened. There were so many times it could have happened, up to the point where I think he was getting ready for the big fight. It was the night before the big fight, and he went out, and he wasn't supposed to go out, and he goes to a club, and he winds up, almost hooking up with this guy. And I felt like, even at that point, I was like, okay, this is the point where something's going to happen, and this guy's going to beat the shit out of him. And,
yeah, I was like, is this consequences, or like, is this society hurting him because of who he is? Like, movie, are you telling me something? But no, nothing really happens, does it? Like, like, he just goes like, is there consequences?
Yeah, there's not really, and he doesn't have like, I mean, going back to what Nicole was saying about the mom, that it was, sort of her death was glossed over or whatever. To me, she was almost like the most horrible person in this film. She was
the mom,
not as an actor, but that character of somebody. You have a grown son who's living with you. Fine, but all you're talking about is the dad that got away and how you've been wronged by this person. And this is how this boy has grown up his whole life. Like, that's been her whole mantra the whole time. And it makes me mad that she was selfish like that.
She was very selfish, and she coddled him to however old he is supposed to be in this movie, and it felt very sad for him. Probably felt like he couldn't disappear anywhere because his mother made it so clear to him that he's in a wrong lifestyle. And don't you remember what happened to this other gay boy that people know? And you have to stay here and be with me because I'll protect you. But meanwhile, he's taking care of her. That's probably why he was there.
But we don't know. I mean, she's doing laundry for people. That's what she does. But he doesn't really do anything. Like, I feel like he has no means to support himself if he was not living
and then
with his mom.
I'm confused too, because at the end, after he starts making all this money, he's like, I was doing this for me and my mom. I was going to buy this house and it's sold now. Was that ever brought up before that? Because that just felt like it was thrown in there. I don't know. It felt not.
Yeah, they went into the house and went into the swimming pool of the house and swam in the pool.
Oh, yeah. That was my disassociation time.
But I agree with you, Nicole. I had this feeling too when watching. I feel like I'm kind of sleepwalking through some of these scenes. Like, I'm just kind of like, if I was like, maybe if I felt like my character was in danger or there was some more obstacle in his way. And that's another thing, like, with the character, like, he never seems, the character never seems like the conflict is within himself. It's always with like things around him for him to overcome and like challenges to beat. But it's not like he arcs or changes really. He just kind of like his arc was almost like just like the very first 15 minutes. He goes from being the little guy to this flamboyant, larger than life personality, and that's what makes him catch fire. And on his catch fire time is when we're supposed to be. That's like supposed to be the meat of the movie, where like maybe we got good montagey things. I'm just spitballing. I mean, they're not suggesting anything. Montages they work sometimes. I will say that I will do some positives here. That musical score, that light motif that they chose, I did like the one they use at the beginning to lead into the very intro, the Cassandro with like the big like heavy metal bold
Oh,
type
yeah.
text, and they use that same music throughout. I do like that sting. So there's there's some transitional scene camera work, kind of like what I was saying in our Haunting of Venice review not too long ago. Like some of the establishing stuff is like, kind of slick, and I really like that, like in between filmmaking. But then again, the important stuff when it's like characters, like there's a love story in this. There's a big whole love story in this. I don't know about you guys. Not the most chemistry for me. I mean, they definitely banged each other. I saw it. I watched it happen, and yet I sit here with a medium look on my face, and I don't know. I don't know if that's what I should be feeling.
I think it's the actor's fault. The love interest. I think he is very bland. We watched him. You said in that other movie, and
Cha-Cha real smooth. Yep,
that's right. He was in Cha-Cha real smooth.
Also, the asshole boyfriend in that. But he's not really the asshole boyfriend. Kind of like in this, where he's exactly that.
He fell into an unfortunate position where that's the type of role he plays, and I think that he looks that way, so people are like, "Oh yeah, you can play the
poor guy,
bad guy with bad intentions, but not really type of thing." But he kind of sucks.
Poor guy. He's stuck in these roles that we don't like him in. That everyone else that's what they're casting him. But what if he's a perfectly fine gentleman? Poor Raul.
Well, he's probably done some voiceover work that we don't know about.
Yeah, maybe he's in Coco. He's probably great. I don't know.
He's probably in Coco.
He's great. There's something else that we're not watching this. There's another moderately famous person in this. Villainous Rabbit. Bad Bunny himself is in this as the guy who's like an assistant. And he's like,
I had no idea that was him.
Yeah, because he's pretty not standing out. I thought he was pretty good in Bullet Train when I saw him in his gimmick part. Although, again, they kind of edited all around him to make it look all cool. So now that I'm looking back on that, clearly, maybe Bad Bunny should stick with wrestling, which I actually think he's very good at, and not acting, which I think he has kind of not shown out yet.
Bad Bunny's a wrestler?
Yeah, he's and that's good. He's in this movie. It's a wrestling movie. He could have wrestled. Like, I mean, I don't like. I know he's a rapper singer.
Yeah, why didn't he wrestle then?
He's a good. I've seen like he was at WrestleMania. I think he was in. I don't know if he was in a Royal Rumble or not, but he was in another like big event match, and he put the work in. He's got good Hurricane Ranas. Like he can move off the top rope. He looks good.
I'm confused.
It's because people can't stay in one thing anymore because once they fizzle for like a month, they're like, oh, on to the new thing. Just like what are those brothers?
Which brothers?
The ones that are wrestling now.
Oh, the YouTubers?
Logan Paul.
Yeah, the Logan Paul.
Oh, no.
Again, like, I haven't seen them wrestle,
YouTubes
though.
fizzled out, so they had to turn to wrestling and MMA.
I don't know if they fizzled out.
Is that what happens?
They're still making money. Like, I'm sure their brand is fine. Like, I don't think they're hurting, per se. If you're in the WWE, I wouldn't call that,
I'm pretty sure when I retire, I'm probably going to take up wrestling as well. So,
ooh, what's your name?
It's never too late.
I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't thought about it enough yet.
Cassandro. Mama
Cassandra. That's probably not going to be my name. It's a mix-up of me and my sister's name. It's probably not going to work.
Oh, it's funny.
It is wild that the guy who played what's his name? Santo played himself. And that was like, what is that? 30 years, 25 years after the actual, like, looks like he's in pretty good shape. Good for him.
Yeah, that was cool. I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, and like...
That's super accurate, though. Like, that's what happens with wrestlers, right?
It's true. You can wrestle
until forever.
Ric Flair, he's retired 7 or 8 times, and he still wrestles. So, I mean...
yeah, some of these old bozos come out.
I thought he was dead.
No, you always say, I thought Ric Flair's dead.
I know.
Ric Flair's not dead. Ric Flair has outlived countless wrestlers that I should have still be here that unfortunately are not. And Ric Flair is still going. But I had another wrestling...
Are you going to talk about when your brother was like 7 and dressed up as the Undertaker for Halloween? Because that's normal.
No, that's complete... The eyeliner was so heavy. The eyeliner, he looked so good. He didn't look like the Undertaker. Like he looked like a gothic child, and he looked more like Jack Sparrowish actually because of the eyeliner was so heavy. It didn't look like I saw what he was going for, but no, it wasn't. Really
also, it was one of those Halloweens where it was cold, so he had on one of those. He had a plastic chest that was like a a naked chest that he had written whatever
A
stuff
dickie?
that the Undertaker
dickie?
has on him, like tattoos or whatever.
Oh, yeah, like yeah, I get what you're saying, like a false torso.
Yeah, a false torso. Yeah, but he had to wear so much stuff underneath it that it was like
It was all like lumpy and like deformed.
it was like a loaf of bread.
There's a Tim Robinson sketch. I know you guys don't know what that is, but if people listening to a Tim Robinson sketch, you know which one I'm talking about. Where he's wearing the suit and it's all puffy. It's probably what him.
It looked a little bit like that, but there is there's like an epic picture from that night where he definitely looks like he's going to be a murderer as an adult. So, yeah.
I think this says a lot about this film that usually we can make it work for 30 minutes or so talking about it. We're done. We're done with it.
Well, there is one thing I want to talk about. There's like a thread that runs through here that's like almost like a dream kind of sequence, or not a sequence, but
yeah, you're right.
When you're talking about the fact that it seems like everything is sort of glossed over and he doesn't have real trials, and or he doesn't. It's not that he doesn't have real trials, but he seems to overcome things really quickly.
There's a sleepwalking quality to this movie.
Yeah, and then the big thing at the end where he's in the big match and he gets, he looks like he's running out of the ring and running away from everything, and then he winds up like some crazy place in the stadium,
right.
And then crowd surfs back to the ring is like the most weird fever dream Freddie Mercury.
That's what I'm just
I don't
like,
know what.
And people bought it. Like, that's what I'm just like, people bought it. Like, if I'm in the audience and this guy's doing these crazy things, of course I'm going along because I like crazy shit. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. It's just hard for me to believe like this guy was in the big moment, right? It's the big final match, and he's got him in the arm bar. Honestly, like in the match, he looks kind of outmatched, not just in like, he's small, in that he doesn't look like he can perform in this giant crowd, and the nerves are getting to him, and he's got him in the arm bar too long, and the guy's like, you're fucking up this move, and I'm on the ropes, and he goes and he does the zone out thing, and he does, and I thought you were going with the childhood flashbacks that are woven in here, which
I will say, yeah, that was the first match after his mom died.
Yeah, and that they do a lot of hard cuts too with the mom's death and the him as a kid and just like all like things kind of butting to a head here, and that's when he runs out of the ring, and I'm like, oh, that was the first moment of the movie. I'm like, oh, the trials and tribulations, they're here, and then he goes up on the top thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm thinking like, oh, what is he gonna do? I don't know the real story. Nicole is whispering my whole ear this whole time. Here comes someone with a gun. They're gonna shoot him. They're gonna shoot his ass because that's what they do. They're gonna shoot the gay guy.
Sorry, I didn't say it so fucking abruptly.
It was every time there was a moment that you would be like, oh, this is the scene. He's
Something's
in a big crowd. Someone's gonna come. He's gonna take him out. And anyway, no, he's up on the thing, and I'm like, oh, is he gonna fall or jump or die? And he die. I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then he's crowd surfing and everyone loves him. And then the match goes on and he loses, but then the guy is like, yeah, I think you were great, actually. And I'm like, what am I watching? Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, this isn't
get on my shoulders.
What kind of overcoming homophobia movie is this? This is so strange. Like, I just don't understand what kind of...
Is it possible that they made this story about this guy and there could have been other people they chose to make this story about with the same kind of thing that would have made it more gritty and watchable, believable, interesting? I don't know. So I was thinking that maybe some of this is a dream, but no. And then when he jumps, I think he's going to die.
I say, but the real guy, and that's why I looked at the real guy after. I'm like, how did this really play out? But the real guy must have actually gained a following and because later on he became a world champion in AAA, which is like a big promotion. Like he had a successful career after the big match.
You know what I'm mad about? Like looking into this further, the whole rising of him being the Exotico and everything. What upsets me now thinking about it is that this was the perfect platform to return back to the very beginning of the movie where we saw an Exotico in the ring and he was booed and everything. And why didn't they have him go back and talk to those people and highlight them throughout the whole movie and show this is what they want to do, and not to worry about people booing at you.
That's a
and
good point, too.
This would have just been a perfect platform to bring those exoticos in, because at the end we turned it off at the credits, but they're showing other exoticos that have performed, and like, why didn't we highlight those people?
Well, I think instead of highlighting that, they had him come on not Giganto. What's that guy's name?
Santo.
Yes, Santo's show, and had a kid in the audience be like, "I came out because you came out," and I'm like, this feels so like Jerry Springer or
Joker. Oh yeah, we said Joker, and that's what I thought. Oh no, Nicole's right. They are gonna shoot up on the talk show. That's what happened. It's a Joker.
I was fucking Lucha Joker vibes.
Oh no, the gray guy with the mask is like, he's doing a heel turn.
Oh my god! I know the shoe never dropped.
It really doesn't.
Never.
He goes. Nope. He has dinner with his dad, and or lunch, and then they both just go like, "We could have done better. Yeah, you could have done better." And they walk away, and that's like it. There's like nothing. There's nothing. There's no conflicts.
Well, the thing is that there could have been a conflict there if they actually would have written it better, because for him to be at the end standing up, also, he reminded me a little, this is going to be so weird. Why didn't he play Ken? I mean, I felt like this character was he should have been like Cassandro.
He was pretty Ken-like.
Because it was, he gave me Ken vibes the whole time I was watching it. And especially at the end where he's at the diner with his dad and he stands up and he's like, "I don't need you anymore." It felt very
it's him when he's wearing like the fur jacket and he's got the headband on. I will say, I had like a muscle memory reaction to that. I'm like, I feel like I just saw something like this, but it was a different tone.
It was a different tone, but it wasn't dissimilar. This movie was not gritty enough to not bring me back to Ken several times while I was watching.
Part of what I didn't like though, that ending too, though, with the dad and like the whole thing and the whole ride all the way here, and it was another Amazon Prime movie from a couple of years ago that had the similar problem. It was Uncle Frank. Remember what I said about Uncle Frank at the end of Uncle Frank when it's Steve Zahn and it's the homophobic family and he's like, I may not understand that you're gay, but you know what? No problem. I'll just have to live with it. And that's like the big coming to moment. I get that same vibe when it's like, oh, he puts him up on his shoulders. It's so nice, and the kid's like, I do watch it, and I'm like, I kind of fall for it a little bit. The kid's like, I wouldn't have come out, and the dad supports him, and it's kind of good. It really is like, I'm kind of falling for it, but I'm like, it's just a trick. I know it's just a trick, and you haven't really earned it this whole time because I wasn't feeling it till now, and I know this is kind of soft.
Maybe they glazed over a lot because they did fit a lot into less than 2 hours. I mean, it was his whole everything.
Part of the reason we watched it, to be fair, it was under 2 hours. We were like, you know what?
Well, I wouldn't watch more of it. Let me be honest with you. So it's good.
No, it's not the
because they weren't going. Yeah, they weren't going to go any other direction than they chose to go with this. So I don't know. I kind of feel like I still want to say in my head, I can make it okay if I think of it as this is really dreamlike. Like the whole situation had to have been, so much grittier.
Yeah, I'll leave it with, like, remember, what was it, 1001 that you and Jess and I did earlier this year, okay? And that also kind of had a dreamlike quality on the ground level. I was thinking a lot about that, too, when I was watching this, similar to Florida Project and what are the Sean Baker movies, like, similar to those, but this just felt a little just more toothless, a little safer, a little... I don't know. There's something missing in here.
Why are the critics so high on this? What's up?
I was a little confused, honestly. I was really looking around, and like it's just maybe too. It's just too subtle for me. Maybe like there's maybe stuff I'm not picking up on, but I felt a sleepwalky quality through this whole thing, and that was to the detriment for sure, because this is a flamboyant character. I want a something that's like gonna grab my attention a little bit, and the style that they went with was just
he wasn't really flamboyant enough. Like I didn't find him to be. I saw pictures of the real guy later, way more flamboyant looking.
Yeah, the real guy
than Ken. Yeah,
and then also,
so I don't know why they didn't go that.
And it's
direction.
like, so like you're doing like if you were to do a those other movies I was comparing it to, 1001 and Florida Project, those are all grittier movies where like those characters have such shit tribulations to go through, and like I don't feel like I saw that. I feel like I saw like the ground level gritty filmmaking look with a glossy sheen, low stakes, low challenges rise to the top, where the challenges may have been real in real life, but they are not portrayed that way here.
Right.
And again, the real look guy must have had insane charisma to get over with those crowds, and I just wasn't buying it here, whether it's filmmaking or acting. It sounds like we were all a little underwhelmed, but were we whelmed enough?
A little underwhelmed.
Were we whelmed enough? I don't know. Mama K, do you recommend Cassandro?
No, not really. If I think that because the main actor's the reason I saw it, go watch, Y Tu Mama Tambien. Don't watch this.
Oh damn! We started so positive, and we've come around.
Well, it's not. Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I don't think anybody. I can't imagine who I would recommend it to who's going to be like, this is groundbreaking. This, for any reason, actually. So yeah.
Nicole,
I like the theme. I like the topic.
Yeah.
That was interesting, but no, I don't think so either. I got pretty bored.
Yeah, I don't recommend this because we saw a documentary pop up and I didn't click on it and it looked like it was a rent, but like I feel like there's a better. I don't feel like I learned that much about Cassandra. Like, I don't feel like I know Cassandra the good person.
No.
I feel like if I watched an 80-minute documentary, I would be seeing a different person based on like the couple of blurbs I read. And I'm like, okay, fine. It doesn't have to be exactly right. It can be, if it's an entertaining story on its own, that's fine. But it's not. It's not really an entertaining story on its own. We've mentioned all the myriad of problems that kind of weigh on it as a biopic, and I think it's extremely hamstrung. I think it's a rich, full of interesting topic that could be exceptionally interesting, and that's probably why it was on all of our radars, and also why we're all kind of lukewarm on it, because it sounds safe and boring, and it's what we got. So I guess it's no recommends here for Cassandro, unfortunately. So I've come to the unfortunate conclusion that the streaming movies are kind of bad. We've done a bunch recently. Yeah. We've done a bunch in a row, and they were not good. Whether they had high Rotten Tomato scores or not, it has not mattered. The audience scores, the IMDb's, it has not mattered. We did junky, crappy Kenneth Branagh Haunting in Venice, and we were all lukewarm in that, and yet we all liked that.
Yeah, we all recommended that.
I didn't listen to you and Jess blab about Idris Elba as of this recording, but I'm sure you guys probably liked that more than the movies we've been talking about.
I was just about to say, if you're going to stream, you're going to have to do a TV show.
I don't like the direction of this, but I want to talk about things that are interesting and quality. So maybe we stick to theaters for movies, but I'm going to be flexible. Maybe TV if it's good.
Wait, what?
We're making quality TV.
We're making this. Is
maybe I can make some wiggle room to make people happy, to make my co-hosts talk about things they want to talk about, and that would be fine. Maybe.
Just so you know, we did not spend the whole time talking about Idris Elba. We actually did not.
I'm sure you didn't. I'm sure you did not stay on topic at all.
Not one time.
No, I'm sure you didn't, but that's fine because I just appreciate the I just like that you guys are involved. So yeah, maybe no more Cassandros, unfortunately. We do have a couple more streaming movies on the schedule, don't get me wrong. But we've got whatever. It's Oscar season. Stuff's going to turn around. Strikes here. I think we're turning a corner. We're on the mend.
I don't know. Is Hollywood doing anything right now?
Yes, we are.
Sorry.
We're doing great. Everything is going to be great. We're going to get through all of it, and it's going to be better than it was at the beginning when we're done.
Okay.
And if you have anything to recommend to us, Films with the Women in My Life on Facebook. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'm Brennan_podhost, and you can email the show filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Thanks for being on for Cassandro, guys.
Okay.
Adios.
Next time, this is Brennan signing off saying thanks for listening and enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.